Okay, let's dive in. We're digging into some source material a listener shared, actually, a YouTube transcript that really zeroes in on something pretty fundamental about success.
Especially in entrepreneurship, right?
Exactly.
And the core idea, it's powerful. Maybe a bit of a reality check, you know? It starts right off saying, behind pretty much every big win, there are a lot of failures.
Yeah, it flips the script on failure. Instead of being like the end of the line, the source says it's a vital part of the whole process.
Not just something to recover from, but something that actually teaches you things, builds you up for the bigger stuff down the road.
And the source uses some great examples. Think about Thomas Edison.
Right. The light bulb story. How many tries?
Countless, famously. Or J.K. Rowling. You know, how many publishers rejected Harry Potter?
Loads of them. These aren't exceptions. The source implies they're almost the rule. Their stories are shaped by bouncing back.
So the big takeaway right at the start, according to this transcript, is every time you stumble, maybe fail.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily falling behind.
You could actually be getting closer, gaining something you need for that big achievement.
Which is what we want to unpack here. We're using this transcript to understand, okay, how do you actually move forward? How do you build a business when you know you're going to hit setbacks?
Because, yeah, the source is clear. Entrepreneurship isn't usually a smooth ride.
Full of ups and downs, challenges.
Yeah.
Sometimes just outright failure.
And the transcript hammers this home early. It all boils down to how you choose to respond. That's the critical part.
Okay, so how do you make that response constructive? Let's start with this core idea from the source. Failure as a stepping stone.
Yeah. The mindset shift. It's not the end. It's just a step. But it's more than just saying that, right? It's about actively looking for the lesson in the failure. What did this teach me?
And to do that, the source points to needing, well, determination, obviously.
And adaptability.
Yeah.
Being able to roll with the punches.
And accepting risk.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with the fact that it might not work the first time or the second.
Which naturally leads into another big hurdle the source talks about. Uncertainty.
Oh, yeah. That's a constant, isn't it?
It really is. And the source doesn't downplay it. It talks about the stress it causes.
Constantly second-guessing yourself.
Risking your finances, maybe even personal stability. It's heavy stuff.
So what's the answer? According to the source, just ignore it.
No, actually the opposite. Accept it. Accept that uncertainty is part of the deal.
Okay.
And then kind of use it. Let it motivate you to keep planning, keep adapting instead of letting the what ifs freeze you.
So embracing failure for the lessons, accepting uncertainty, it all seems to feed into this next point from the source. Failure actually fuels growth.
Exactly. It's not just a setback. It's framed as this experience that helps you grow, helps you get better as an entrepreneur.
There's a kind of freedom in that idea, isn't there? If you accept failure will happen.
The source suggests it frees you from the fear of failure, which can be paralyzing. Allows you to be a bit bolder.
So you actively turn setbacks into opportunities. You look for the lesson and then you actually, apply it.
It's that growth mindset idea. Challenges aren't threats to your ego. They're chances to get stronger, smarter.
And a key skill you build through this, which the source really emphasizes, is adaptability or resilience.
Yeah, resilience. It calls it indispensable in business today, which makes sense. Things change so fast.
So resilient entrepreneurs, according to the source, they don't just survive setbacks.
They bounce back quicker.
Yeah.
And crucially, they stay focused on their long-term vision despite the bumps.
How do you, cultivate that?
The source suggests it lets you face challenges with, well, determination, but also optimism. Seeing problems as solvable.
And the advice is pretty direct.
Yeah.
Except change is inevitable.
Right. And try to see change not as a threat, but as a challenge, maybe even an opportunity.
Which leads straight into another key strategy, knowing when to pivot, or give the gyro, as the source puts it.
Yeah, making that strategic shift. It's vital when something's clearly not working, especially after a failure tells you it's not working.
Being willing to change course is fundamental, the source argues, just to stay relevant.
The market shifts, customer needs change. You have to be ready to move with it.
And the example given is pretty stark. Like fundamentally changing your business direction if your products just aren't hitting the mark anymore.
That takes guts. But it's rooted in that adaptability we were talking about, letting go of what isn't working.
So how do you know when to pivot or where to pivot? The source points to feedback.
Oh, absolutely critical. Feedback from customers, partners, anyone really interacting with your stuff.
It's described as invaluable information. Tells you what went wrong, what needs fixing.
But you have to be open to hearing it, right? Even the tough stuff.
Yeah, that customer focus isn't just about service. It's about intelligence gathering.
Listening, really listening to what people are telling you about your products, your services. That's how you figure out where to refine or, well, pivot.
Okay, so we've got the learning, the adapting, the pivoting, based on feedback. But running alongside all this, the source stresses the importance of attitude.
A positive attitude specifically. In the face of all this difficulty, it calls it fundamental.
It's not just about feeling good, though.
No, the argument is that optimistic entrepreneurs are actually more likely to find creative solutions, to stay motivated when things are really dragging.
It can be the difference, the source suggests, between giving up and pushing through.
And it even lists some habits to cultivate that positivity.
Like what?
Things like consciously looking for the good side, even in a bad situation, practicing gratitude daily.
Makes sense.
Surrounding yourself with positive people, setting small, achievable goals so you get those little wins.
And always framing things as a learning experience.
Exactly. The optimist, as described here, doesn't ignore problems. They just believe things can work out. And, crucially, that they have the ability to help make them work out, even after a setback.
Which brings us, really full circle, to the final big point from the source. Commitment. Perseverance.
Yeah, you can learn, adapt, stay positive, but you still have to stick with it. Stay committed to your actual goals.
The source basically says the successful ones are the ones who face the obstacles and just keep going. Determination.
Keeping your eyes on that long-term prize helps you navigate the short-term struggles. It keeps you on course.
And perseverance. The source calls it the engine.
The engine that drives you forward despite everything. It's what makes all the other pieces work together consistently.
So ultimately, the picture this source paints is, it's the people who persist, who learn from the hits instead of being knocked out by them, who adapt and keep pushing.
Those are the ones who reach their goals and make that impact.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into this transcript. The core message seems clear. Failure isn't something to just avoid or fear.
Right. It's necessary. It's informative. Success isn't about not failing, it's about what you do with the failures.
Learning from them, adapting, pivoting when needed based on feedback.
Keeping that positive but realistic attitude and just applying sheer commitment and perseverance.
Hopefully understanding these ideas from the source gives you, the listener, some useful tools or maybe just a different perspective for tackling the challenges on your own path.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave you with, building on this material. The source talks a lot about learning from failure, but also about setting small, achievable goals. So think about a recent challenge or setback you experienced. Based on what we've discussed from the source, what's just one tiny, concrete step you could take today?
Maybe it's applying one small lesson or trying one of those positive habits, just something small to move forward.